What is going on? It's your boy Edward from Boxing Fanatico, and today in the Boxing Weekly Recap, we're going to touch on Canelo Alvarez versus Chavez Jr. potential matchup, who Deontay Wilder is fighting next, and a fighter who went berserk, attacked his brother, his mother, and police officers that came to arrest him. All that in this week's episode of the Boxing Weekly Recap on Boxing Fanatico. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Let's do this. Okay, first thing I want to talk about is Paul Spadafora, best known for beating Mayweather up in a sparring session that was leaked to the public back in around 2006, 2007, where it shows a bloated Mayweather Jr. having lots of trouble with Paul Spadafora. At the time, Paul Spadafora was undefeated. It's a mystery to me why that fight wasn't pushed for people to make both Mayweather versus Spadafora an actual fight that we can see based off of that video. I do remember Mayweather tried to use him as a negotiating tool at one point, but unfortunately the fight never came to fruition. It has been speculated that because of his performance versus Spadafora during a recorded sparring session, that lent itself to the fact that Mayweather doesn't want his sparring session recorded during his trainings. Of course, at the end of his career, he just started throwing all of that out of the window since he didn't care anymore. He was ending his career, so he let his last sparring sessions be video recorded, and he did fairly well in them anyways, so he still looked like the champ that everybody was expecting him to look like. But let's talk about Paul Spadafora. Paul Spadafora was arrested because apparently, and this is during the holiday season, folks, he went berserk. He got into an altercation. It isn't clear what exactly sparked the altercation, but he ended up stabbing his brother in his leg, attacking his mother when his mother came to try to intervene. He's just going berserk. He's hothead right now. As the police come to interject, he starts attacking the police officers that came to interject. He had to be held down. He was shot with a stun gun, and he had to have a mask put over his face because as he was put in the police car, while they were rolling him out, while they were taking him out, he was spitting on the police officers. Paul Spadafora just lost it. I don't know. It was pretty creepy just hearing this information. And then it makes you wonder, does the hits to the brain, does that get affected? Does this affect them to be this type of aggressive person, or some people are suicidal, some people do horrible things to their families. It reminds me of Edwin Valero and fighters like that, and it just is something that I hope it gets addressed. The thing about boxing is you can't make boxing safe. You can't ever make it safe. It is what it is. And I hope this isn't like a mental issue or a mental breakdown that Paul Spadafora is having, because it just wouldn't look good for the sport of boxing, in my personal opinion. Now let's move on to Canelo Alvarez trying to fight Chavez Jr. That would be a huge pay-per-view fight. I actually believe that if that fight is made, they can come close or around the 600K, 500 to 600K mark, which will be a success post Mayweather Manny Pacquiao. Canelo has the upper hand. He has the upper hand clear as day. There was one point that Chavez Jr. was very, very popular. That is no longer the case. So Chavez Jr. just has to come down about 3 pounds. Canelo has to go up about 11 pounds because he's moving from his weight all the way to about 165 so they can fight Chavez Jr. So this should lend no excuses to Canelo if he wants to move up to 160 to face Gennady Golovkin. And if you're going to be the middleweight guy, fight in the middleweight division. Please just fight. I'm not a person that likes catchweights. I just don't like it. It's so politically driven. A catchweight is so politics, money, controlled kind of a thing that I just can't stand. It's like when you get so much popularity and you get up there, you start forcing people into catchweights. That's wrong. You're loopholing the sport. I'd rather you fight at the weight that you're supposed to fight in, because that is better for the fans and for the sport itself. Fight at the weight that you're supposed to fight. If you're gonna fight Chavez Jr. at 165, then you've clearly showed your ability to make 160. You're going all the way up there. You can go all the way up here. Like, there's no problem with that. So hopefully Chavez Jr. takes the fight. He's being given till about next week, and if he doesn't make a decision, they are threatening to move on, and their moving on opponent will be Billy Joe Saunders, who's no dance partner in terms of bringing in the money for pay-per-view revenue. So I'm thinking that Canelo really wants this Chavez Jr. fight, but he's using his A-side power to push him to agree to terms that favor Canelo more than it'll favor Chavez Jr. Let's see what happens. Hopefully they can make that fight. It would be very, very interesting. I would have Canelo winning this fight, but it is an interesting fight for the Mexican fans. And if he beats Chavez Jr., of course, we will want a September fight with Gennady Golovkin if Gennady Golovkin can beat Danny Jacobs as well. So Deontay Wilder given no options and no light at the end of the tunnel after the Povetkin versus Bermane Stiverne fight was canceled. He's looking now towards a stay busy fight with the 12th ranked WBC fighter at the heavyweight division, Andrzej Warzik. And hopefully I did not butcher his name, but that is just such a difficult name to pronounce. And I'm not mad at him. And I'm gonna tell you why. I know a lot of people are like, you know, getting the pitchforks ready and saying, how are you gonna go ahead and fight another bum? How are you gonna go ahead and fight another no-name fighter? Like, what are you doing? He's not even ranked in the top 10. He's 2 ranks below it, but he's not even ranked in the top 10. And the thing is, guys, man, This is something where you have to understand. He was waiting to see who was going to win between Bermane Stiverne and Povetkin. If he would have seen the winner of that, he knows that he could have a timeline in his mind when his next fight is going to be. But because they didn't fight, he doesn't have a good timeline. He doesn't want to not be busy. He wants to stay busy. Then we have Anthony Joshua already fighting Vladimir Klitschko. Dylan White and Chisora already just fought each other. Maybe he could have fought Dylan White if they didn't fight with Chisora. A lot of people, a lot of heavyweight fighters are already either just coming off of a fight or locked into a fight. I mean, Ortiz just coming off of a fight as well. So what do you want him to do? He can't really, his hands are tied. He needs to stay busy. You gotta let fighters stay busy. That's the thing that you guys don't understand. A lot of fans want fighters to just go after A-class fighter, A-class fighter, A-class fighter, or top level fighter, 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 retire. And that's not gonna happen. Sometimes it doesn't work like that. There's politics, there's training, there's so many different elements to boxing. And you work around all those elements to hopefully get those big fights. Just like Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua worked around the elements, worked around with his resources, what he had available to him, who was willing to fight him, who he was willing to fight, who can come together into the contractual agreement. And then now finally we have the Vladimir Klitschko versus Anthony Joshua fight. So give him, some credit. He's trying to stay busy. Deontay Wilder wants these fights. I mean, he was set up to fight Povetkin, and he couldn't get the fight because it was canceled due to him, Povetkin failing the drug test. So it's not that he's not looking for these big fights. He fought Bermane Stiverne when everybody was like, oh, he's crazy to fight Bermane Stiverne because he's just fighting bums, and he fights Bermane Stiverne, he loses. He fought him and he beat him. So like, you gotta give this guy the credit. He wants to make the big fights. He's just in a position where he can't right now, this specific moment, but he will moving forward. And speaking of the Anthony Joshua versus Vladimir Klitschko fight, that fight has sold 50,000 tickets in its first round ticket release. 50,000 tickets. Now, a good indicator of pay-per-view numbers are gate numbers. Gate numbers tend to facilitate what the pay-per-view numbers can be. So people use the gate numbers to predict how much pay-per-view revenue would probably come in or how many pay-per-view buys may come in. So they put a shot in the dark that's not based on any type of scientific polling or anything like that, but it's based on buzz and gate revenue. So this fight can literally do about 700K. This fight can do 700 to 800K, and if it cracks the 1 million mark, do not be surprised. Do not be surprised. Granted, it will not be on pay-per-view in the United States. It will not be on pay-per-view in the United States. It's gonna be on pay-per-view in the UK alone. But they love boxing over there. They absolutely love boxing. I wish the United States would have the passion for boxing the way the UK has the passion for boxing, because damn, those guys really love it. This is huge to them, and they understand how big it is, and they're willing to watch this fight. It's like Andre Ward versus Sergey Kovalev. Die-hard boxing fans knew how big that of a fight that was. But the casual fans, they didn't know. I mean, it wasn't Mayweather, it wasn't Manny Pacquiao, so they just didn't know. But the UK fans, they know. They know, and I can see this fight hitting 700K. I can easily see it hitting 700K. It's gonna be that big, and it's gonna mean a lot, because this is a gold medalist, and we're gonna see his barometer is gonna be tested against Vladimir Klitschko. Is he the dominating force that we're seeing? Does he deserve to be up there with the top heavyweights? Or has he just been knocking out bums and that's it? Like, is Anthony Joshua ready for the big leagues? And we're gonna find out when he fights Vladimir Klitschko. So that's it for this week's Boxing Weekly recap. Remember, on December 30th, Inawi will be fighting. So Inawi's fighting December 30th, and please mark it on your calendar, because that is going to be a Friday, not a Saturday. And you're probably going to have to find means to see it on your computer, because it will be recorded and aired in the Japanese stations in Japan, but there's gonna be some way you can stream it. Just gotta figure that out. I'm gonna try to figure it out. If you follow me on my Facebook and my Twitter, if I find out exactly where it's gonna be streamed and everything like that, I will go ahead and post that for you guys. Stay tuned on Friday for segments, and of course next week for the Boxing Weekly recap. I'm your host, Edward. Thank you for watching this episode, and I will see you on Friday. Peace out, guys. Have a great one.